So you guys are definitely welcome to work back here, but I need you to be quiet during lecture, if that's cool. Rainbow room, if you guys want to chat, you can use the rainbow room if you want. Cool. All right, so you guys don't really need your computers for this portion. It's just gonna be kind of expectation settings and tools and tricks on how to get through this incredibly amazing program of ours that's a little bit intense. Just gonna wait till Victoria pops in online. You guys are welcome to come closer with your chairs if you'd like. If you can hear me in the back, you feel free to stay there. So we have schools on the West Coast in Vancouver, Calgary, and Victoria. And currently Vancouver is the main branch, and we stream to them the lectures, and then everything else is the exact same as you guys. They have an 8-to-1 mentor ratio in-house. They have their own kind of Lighthouse Labs in Victoria and Calgary. So sometimes the cohorts line up with you guys, so we stream lectures to them. So you guys have a sister cohort in Victoria, and these guys over here, who are in their 9th week, I think, 9th week, they have a Calgary sister cohort. Awesome. So they seem to have got it. Let me just. Perfect. We have somebody typing. That is a good sign. Hey, Alan. Can you hear us, Alan? Slack's good for that. I can see who's typing, but we got to wait until they finish the sentence. Just bear with me, guys. 2 minutes. Hey, Victoria, can you hear us? Say something on Slack if you can hear us, please. Hello? Hello? They were typing. Oh, the internet cut. All right, a little bit of technical difficulties. Who's got a long commute here? How long is your commute? Port Moody, yeah, that's pretty far. How long did it take you to get here today? 45 minutes? Okay, not too bad. Awesome. Okay, I think that they can hear us. Awesome. Yay. So, Victoria, hello, welcome. I'm Davey, I'm the education manager. I'm going to be doing a lecture from Vancouver, but whenever you guys have any questions, I'll be monitoring the Slack channel. You just type in the channel, and I will do my best to be attentive to that. All right, so some lagging issues. That's pretty normal. Takes a couple of minutes. Let me know if we need to clean it up, okay? I'm going to begin. So you're here, day one. We already did introductions. And now, why would I put this sign? I do not suggest that's the Sea to Sky Highway. Please do not go that fast on that highway. But why might we put that first initial slide up? Yeah, off to the races already, right? So we had a person say, this program is that fast. It absolutely is. So who is a little bit nervous? Who has some fears about this program? Awesome, good, that's normal. We kind of want that. We don't want you to come in here completely calm. There is an essence to the perfect amount of stress in learning. And this course will probably bring that out of you guys, okay? That's why we have a really great support team here. We have an awesome team of mentors to help you guys through it when times get a little bit tricky. So this lecture is going to hopefully give you some tips and tricks on how to get through. We've moved a lot of students through, so this is what we've learned from the people that we've moved through, okay? It's not easy to getting through this program, but it can be done and anybody can do it. Through all of our learnings, we have kind of focused on 5 tips. 5 tips to move you through. We call them rules, but they're more suggestions. They're a chance for you guys to recognize what you might be experiencing and take that trick or tool to move through it. So we're going to go through the 5 questions and hopefully provide some insight into how to move through our program. Number 1, really important, ask for help. A lot of people come into this program and you're paying a bulk of your money for the mentorship. It's probably one of the greatest things that you're getting in this program. These mentors are industry working. They have insights about, there's a million ways to problem solve things. So they have the insights of what's best. What is the industry using? What are they working with? And also just a really good familiar face, emotional support to get you through the program. A lot of people will come into our program thinking that they have to do everything on their own to succeed. That's your first mistake, okay? Asking questions, gaining help is the way that you will succeed, not only in this program, but also on the job in the future. This industry is very vast. Computer science is very big. There's so much to learn and it's constantly changing. Asking for help, staying up to date, being current, all that is very, very important moving forward in your career. So please do not feel that you need to do something on your own just to have learned it. The mentors are here to accelerate your learning, right? They're not going to give you the answer. They're going to create problem-solving opportunities for you to help train your muscle memory to move your learning on a little bit faster than banging your head against the wall at home for months at a time, right? So a big portion of why you are here is mentorship. So please utilize that help. You're not doing yourself justice just to prove you can do it in 3 days when probably you should have been doing it in 2 hours with the help of a mentor, something like that. This is also a way that you can avoid isolation. So not all of us are the strongest extroverts. Some of us, tend to have different habits of, hey, I need to learn in peace. I need to learn in a corner by myself. Being on the floor with your cohort mates, being social with them and utilizing the mentor help is going to help keep you out of that realm, okay? So we want you guys here. Being a web developer is not about just sitting at your computer, not talking to everybody all day. It's completely opposite. It's a very, very social job, and you're going to have to get used to that. We try to mimic a junior web developing environment in our school. So just kind of think about you and your cohort mates as a team of junior developers. You got to talk to each other, you got to help each other out, and you got to use your mentors and your resources that you have access to as well. Any questions about asking questions? Awesome. Next one, put in the hours, okay? So this one is kind of obvious. We all know that you guys like a challenge, because if you didn't, you wouldn't sign up for a course like this, okay? We weren't shy when we stated this is a very intense program. We do not allow you guys to have jobs outside of this. This is a full-time job and a part-time job in one. And the days are long, but there is an adjustment time, and you guys will get kind of used to those long hours. It'll become second nature. And then after this program, you'll be like, yay, how can I work 12-hour days every day? I promise that will happen to you as well. But get through that adjustment period, and you will be able to go through those long days, especially in the first half of the program. We do expect you guys to stay until you finish your core material. So that could look different for everybody. Don't compare yourself to others, but make sure that you're not leaving the floor and mentorship help before you've completed that core material of the day. You know, if things come up, obviously talk to the education team. We can help you navigate that week's work. But your objective of each day is to get through the core material. So please utilize the space and utilize the mentors when you have them, and you have them until 9 o'clock every day. So you might be doing 9 o'clock p.m. days. You might have to go a little bit further some days. Some days you might end a little bit earlier and you want to take a little bit more of a rest evening. That happens as well. But make sure your first priority is the core material of the day. We are starting lectures now at 10 a.m. There is still that chunk of the morning, 9 a.m. till 10 a.m. especially, where that's a useful hour. You guys should be making use of it somehow, not necessarily right into coding, but maybe, you know, coming into the space between 9 and 9:30, having a little bit of a routine with your coffee, just getting your head in a good space to learn throughout the day. So no real excuse to come in at 10:01. You've got all the time in the morning now. Lectures don't start at 9 a.m. anymore, so no real excuse to be late. Try not to have a panicky morning. Give yourself that time in the morning to, you know, take your time coming into the space, have a nice coffee, and get your brain prepped for a long day of coding. So we know some things happen. You know, in the morning, you're off to a rough start. Try to get in a good routine, but if things come up, communicate. Communication is the way that you will deal with it if things do come up, or let's just say you have a pre-arranged doctor's appointment, something like that. No worries. You're just going to write this email, both Vancouver and Victoria, Canada West attendance@lighthouselabs.ca. You don't need to write it down. We're going to post it and pin it to your Slack channel as well. I'll go into details about that. Let's just say you can't track this email down for any reason. You just DM David or me. It is confusing. We've got me, Davey, and David. He's the education intern. We're probably the two main points of contact. So just find David or Davey on Slack, and we'll be happy to navigate that with you. I should also mention, attendance is mandatory. This is a mandatory program that you have to attend. You have to be in space. So that's why communication when you're missing some classes is really important as well. So that's part of the governing body's requirements. All right, so this one is kind of opposite to the one before. Take breaks and get proper sleep. So we do want you guys putting in the long hours. We don't want you to burn out. We want you close to burnout, but we do not want you to burn out, okay? So it's really, really important that you guys take care of yourselves. You be compassionate to your body, to your mind, to your learning style, just to who you are as an individual. That's really important. So what are some strategies? And Victoria, you can post them in the Slack channel. What strategies do you guys use when you're stressed or you're banging your head against the computer to take a step back and kind of reset? Yes. Perfect. Awesome. So we had a 10-minute meditation. That is perfect. I think just turning your mind off for a second, letting it turn and not taking it seriously is really, really important. Might be sometimes hard to find a place to meditate in a busy environment like this. Noise canceling headphones are really, really good. Go for a walk, go to the library. Library is close to us in Vancouver. Great. And in Victoria, we also had a suggestion, go for a walk. That's an awesome one. Oxygen to the brain, right? Sometimes we're going into long concentrative periods of thought. We even forget to breathe. Like you'll just be like shallow breathing. You're like, and like a gasp will like bring that oxygen back in, or you'll just start yawning like crazy, and that is pretty distracting as well, right? So go get oxygen, really, really important. And we had another one. So we've got lots of people validating going for a walk, gets the blood moving, oxygen to the brain. It's perfect. Alan in Victoria says, listen to some music. That's perfect. I even had a student once saying that like the most hardcore heavy metal music was how they relaxed. I couldn't really understand it, but to each to own. Whatever is that means to relax, utilize it. And then also techniques into getting back into work as well. So refocusing yourself, is very, very individual. It takes different strategies for different people, but it's up to you guys to figure out what works best so you can refocus and get back to the problems at hand. Awesome, great suggestion, guys. So the next one is the most important one, and who here knows what imposter syndrome is? Yes. Okay, perfect. Melanie had her hand up first. Why don't you give me your definition of it?
Like when you feel like you don't actually belong somewhere,
Yep.
or that your skills are like actually very flexible.
Yeah.
You can a lot of work together.
Absolutely. So Melanie said, you don't think you belong somewhere. You don't believe your skills are necessarily deserving of where you are, even if you've put in a lot of time. That's very, very correct. Even more so in our program, you're comparing yourself to everybody around you, right? So, oh, they did something in 40 minutes. Why is it taking me 3 hours? Oh, they have a computer engineering degree. I'm never going to be able to do this, right? The curriculum was designed for people with little to no coding experience. I've moved people here through all walks of life. I've actually taken this program in 2015. Before that, I was a yoga teacher. I had yoga studios, right? Anybody can do this program. All it takes is the mindset. We're not saying don't experience imposter syndrome. So it's very natural. It's very human nature. We're competitive. We compare ourselves against each other. We judge each other. And instead of being happy for people that succeed, sometimes we hate them for succeeding. These are all very normal emotions. We're not saying don't experience them. Just recognize when you do. Reach out to somebody on the education team. We have lots of tools to help navigate that, help move you through that, and help get you back to the code, right? So the more you compartmentalize all the things that are wrong with you, less time you have to actually code. So when that starts happening, try to start training your fingers back to the computer. That's your best distraction. Coding is your best distraction. One of the biggest fears that you might have at first as a web developer, or you might not even really understand what your job as a web developer is, it's moving through errors. So as a web developer, you're getting error after error after error, and a new error is like, yay, success. I just beat my last error. So that's your obstacles moving through. That can be draining, that can be intimidating. It's kind of like the computer always telling you you're doing something wrong, but at the same time, you are doing something right. You're moving from error to error until you've got a clean working app. And then you just got all these bugs that you have to fix after that kind of thing, right? So keep that in mind. Don't be scared by these errors. Don't take them personally. Don't take the people around you's work personally either. Try to encourage each other. We find that the best cohorts, the most successful cohorts, are those that are community driven, those who are very supportive, those who help each other, and that competitive nature has subsided, okay? You're kind of racing against yourself. If you've improved better on the day before, you've won, all right? So this is probably the hardest one to achieve or get through, but that's why we've got an education team to help move you through it. So what are we going to do when we start feeling imposter syndrome? Talk to someone. Yes, right from the back. Talking to someone is the way that you can get through it. Sometimes all you got to even do is like vocalize it, and you're like, oh, okay, it's over now. Great, back to work, okay? So it's much better than isolation. Isolation is your nemesis. Try to avoid isolation, okay? All right. We love our contradictions, so comfortable being uncomfortable. Problem solving is not easy. You guys are getting into a job that is very problem solving focused. This is not the type of job where I'm going to give you a list of instructions to do a task. You're going to learn this task. You're going to probably get better after about doing it 3 times. And then you're going to repeat task and repeat task and repeat task. And boom, that's your learning. That's not the case for problem solving, right? You're literally going from a place of not knowing and bringing yourself to a place of knowing. It's very intimidating. That's scary, right? So you guys got to be those motivators moving from point A to point B. That's going to feel very, very uncomfortable, but that's what you have to get used to. That is part of the job. That will continue for life. One of my mentors in the industry, a senior mentor at the time when they were teaching me, said, I've worked in this industry long enough to know we are all imposters. So even senior devs, they're imposters. There's new technologies coming out all the time. They have to even sometimes learn from juniors who have been using those technologies sooner than they have. So even our co-founder, when he first got into React, had to ask me some questions about React, just because he had never learned it before. Mind you, their learning curve is very fast, and they'll be able to pick up on things, probably faster than a junior developer. But they're in the exact same boat, where they're constantly learning, and they're just really, really good at faking it. So get comfortable being uncomfortable. It's going to mean a lot of different things throughout your development career. All right, I'm going to ask Vancouver to repeat. You guys don't have to type in Victoria. But what are the 5 rules of success? Again, so what was number 1? Ask for help. Great. Number 2, put in the hours. Awesome. Number 3, take breaks, get proper sleep. Oh yeah, just on that note as well, getting proper sleeps. Coding nightmares are a thing, or coding dreams are a thing. We had some quirky facts about dreams this morning. That will probably happen to you guys. I remember having a dream once where the problem that I actually was working on during the day was in front of me, but I had no hands and I couldn't touch the computer. And then I woke up in a panic, but figured out the problem right away and had to get to my computer. So coding dreams happen. Be kind to yourself when you're going to sleep. Oh, something's fallen back there. But yeah, coaching yourself into sleep and making sure that you're not playing apps until 3 in the morning. Very, very important, so that you guys can come in feeling very well rested. Oops, I just gave away the last one. So number 4, don't compare yourself to others. Don't is really the wrong word there. When you are experiencing imposter syndrome, reach out to people. That's the better way to say it. And the last one, what's the last rule? Be comfortable being uncomfortable. Very, very important in this type of field where you're continuously learning, and you'll probably always feel like there's a million people better at you at the job. Everybody in this industry is feeling the exact same way. So it's kind of like part of the trade. Any questions on the rules for success? OK. All right, so our program is quite different than what you've been used to. It's kind of why we have this lecture, to help set these expectations in a way for people that are not familiar with this type of learning environment. It's very, very intense. A lot of you come from university or college or high school backgrounds where they deliver education in a very, very different way. We do it in a flipped classroom kind of model. I'll get into what that looks like in a bit, in a couple of slides. But first we're going to go over mindset. For a different type of curriculum, a different type of program like ours, it's very, very important what type of mindset that you take. So who can tell me the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So fixed, we were told, is when you believe everything's set. It's kind of like predetermined. And growth kind of like the name says, you can grow, you can develop those skills. That's absolutely correct. So in this program, which mindset do you think that you need? Growth mindset, yes. We definitely need a growth mindset in this course. I like to kind of like use the analogy, adults are very famous for saying that kids are like the greatest learners and they can do everything really amazing. That's why I'm not going to put the time of day into learning because I'm not a child, right? Languages, you hear that a lot with languages. Parents will say, oh, you know, a child can learn a language so much faster than an adult. That's actually very, very incorrect. It takes a child, on average, 8 to 16 years to form proper grammar in their head. Yes, they can memorize words here and there probably faster, but more because they're probably more enthusiastic than the adult, not because of their actual mental ability. So it actually takes an adult so much faster to learn a language because you understand rules, you understand structure, you can put pieces together. You just probably don't have the time of day, or you don't give yourself the time of day to start memorizing words and making those connections. But you've actually given yourself that time now. This course is that time that you've given yourself, so you can take that growth mindset and you can accomplish anything. It really is about confidence. A lot of people come into our programs, a lot of people come into the industry thinking it's all technicals. I need to be able to code and hack the matrix to be able to be a web developer. That is highly, highly incorrect. Do not believe the movies. That's not what you need to be a junior developer. Definitely you need to understand the fundamentals. Definitely you need to be able to use the tools at hand. But it is more about confidence to continue to code and to continue to problem solve when you haven't figured out the solution. To use the resources at hand to move through. That doesn't mean that you need to know all of how the internet works, right? You just need to know the tools at hand, which are the fundamentals right now for you guys. And moving forward, JavaScript, you'll learn some Ruby, Ruby on Rails, those frameworks. That's what you should concentrate on and get confident on. And more so, get confident with experimenting with code. So keep those fingers typing. I call it computer shock a lot. Some students go through computer shock. They'll try to do all the work in their head before they even begin to touch the computer. You need to train your muscles. You need to train your muscle memory. So try as you're thinking. As you're working through things in your head, make sure your fingers are also following suit. Okay? So that's just a trick that you can kind of take to get that growth mindset. This is your field of experimentation for the next 12 weeks. Be that scientist that experiments and experiments and experiments, okay? So here's some different ways that we can look at fixed mindset and growth mindset. The first one that pops up will be a fixed mindset way of thinking of something. The next will be a growth mindset. So I'm either good at it or I'm not. I can learn anything I want to. So all you have to do is have a little bit of will, and you can learn it. When I'm frustrated, I give up. When I'm frustrated, I persevere. So that one's really important. Just because you're feeling a bit of stress, just because you're feeling a bit of frustration, doesn't mean that's a bad thing. It could be a sign that you're moving closer in the right direction. I don't like to be challenged. Obviously, we know this is not true for you guys. Why would you sign up for a crazy course like this if it wasn't the case? I want to challenge myself. That's why you guys are here. When I fail, I'm no good. When I fail, I learn. Learn by failure. We want you to fail with grace. So fail with dignity, but fail and see it as an opportunity to learn. A lot of our program is a learn by failure opportunity. So keep that in mind, but it's not a bad thing to fail. If you succeed, I feel threatened. If you succeed, I'm inspired. So that's going to happen in this course. People are going to move at different paces. Some things they'll be stronger at, some things you'll be weaker at. When you see somebody accelerating at something that you might not be accelerating so fast at, why is that a bad thing? It's inspiration. Maybe they can even provide some foresight into what they went through and how they sped that learning up as well. My abilities determine everything. That's incorrect. My effort and attitude determine everything. Any questions on the mindsets? Really, really important in this course. Cool. Software development is a team sport. So, as I mentioned, a lot of people think that web development is this anti-social thing I can do where I just look at my computer all day long, don't have to speak to everybody, can just do it in my dark basement. That's very, very incorrect. All teams out there have lots of people on them, and those people have to collaborate with each other. This is kind of, like I mentioned, mimicking that junior developing environment. So get to know your cohort mates and learn to work with the diverse personalities out there. You have to work with them. That doesn't mean that you have to go clubbing with them on the weekend, right? So make sure that you give people the time of day. That diversity in thinkers is something that you should appreciate. Just because it's different, that idea, thought, it might be needed and useful in the world right now. We need tons of diverse thinkers, okay? So learning how to work with all the diverse personalities is a very, very important part of the job. And just want to reiterate, the cohorts that have the best success are those that are community driven. So being supportive, I like to say as well, you haven't really learned something unless you can teach your mother and father that topic, okay? So what I mean by that, if you can really phrase your learning for beginners, put it into layman's term, really conceptualize how a beginner might be able to understand it, then you really know that concept. You really, really understand that concept. So you're going to be busy with your own work, absolutely, but if you have the chance to help somebody else, go for it and give yourself a try at mentoring your cohort mate. If not, lots of other mentors to choose from as well. All right, bootcamp is a 6 to 12-month journey. You guys are like, I only paid for 3 months. Is the rest going to cost me money? No, hopefully you're making money on the rest of the journey. So why would we say something like this? You're going to continue to learn. Exactly, that theme of continual learning. All industries, all jobs have a portion of continual learning. This one, especially tech in general, is constant continual learning. You're kind of like learning how to ride the bike, the web developer bike right now. I would say that you'll get to a really good part being a junior developer, but the industry is set up for a reason. It goes junior developer, intermediate developer, senior developer, so that it feels more like an apprenticeship kind of thing. The learning continues. So even comp sci degrees really don't start their practical tool practice until they get that first job. So landing that first job is really, really important because that's where you'll really learn how to ride that bike, where you start to really form opinions about the technologies that you're working on, where you start to understand your own personal coding style. That happens more so on the job, okay? So in the first month of our bootcamp, you'll get to a certain depth with understanding. Then the second month, third month, final project will give you a really good depth of that understanding. And then on the job will give you a even more in-depth. Then 1 year on the job, then intermediate, then senior developer as well. So that will continue and continue and continue. You're not going to graduate this program a master of your field. It's really when you're starting the race, when you're starting the show from there, okay? Software development is a craft, so just to continue on that, it is more like an apprenticeship, right? So you're going to get that junior developer job so that you can continue to be mentored and continue to learn so that you can eventually become a senior developer. The road to becoming a senior developer might not even last too long for a lot of you. I would say 3 to 5 years is a very legitimate estimate of becoming a senior developer. What senior developer means is different for a lot of different companies. But definitely, after 2 to 3 years, start thinking about intermediate, and then from there, having a little bit more aspiration to senior developer. That looks different too. There's different roles that can be played, like more of a project planner or lead architecture, or more of the actual creator themselves, writing tests. There's so many different avenues that the senior developer can kind of take, but that holistic vision is more secured after about 3 to 5 years of the industry. So we're not doing a master's in computer science right now. That's not the type of program that you guys have signed up for. All right, one more slide before we take a little bit of a break. Our model is very different, as I mentioned, from university and high school. University and high school and education in general is a little bit archaic. It's hard to change. Education institutions are very stuck in their ways. So typically, in those types of environments, you have the teacher presenting information. Students digest that information, then they'll get tested or do a paper on that information, then they'll do a big final exam on that information, and then they're going to get a stamp. You are this type of student based off of how you regurgitated that information. We do not work like that at all. Even our ways of assessment are very, very different. They're moment-to-moment forms of assessment to help support you moving forward, okay? Our flipped classroom model will present information to you guys in a very different way that might be a little bit uncomfortable, but helping you guys get comfortable with that feeling, okay? So for instance, we might ask you in an exercise to start working on a concept, but we might not lecture on that concept until the next day. That's there for a reason. It's pedagogical. It's not a mistake. It's there so maybe you ask a mentor and gain some information before we lecture on it. Or maybe there is a portion of us wanting you to struggle with it just for a moment in time so that you learn some researching techniques. So that problem solving really gets triggered and you start forming tools in how to deal with that. So that might come across, especially in the first half of the cohort, as a little bit alarming. It's part of the program. It is there on purpose. And if you're having trouble navigating that, reach out, ask for help, and just talk to us. We have lots of tools and ways that we can help move you through that. Any questions, Victoria, or any questions from Vancouver on anything I've mentioned so far? I know it's a lot about listening to me talk, but yeah, Anthony? Infinite in terms of like the day, like, yeah. Great, so Anthony had a question. This is the type of work that you could just keep going and going and going. That's absolutely correct. We'll just speak to that first. And our curriculum mimics this as well. That's why we have stretch work available to you guys. As a web developer, the job is never done. There is always something to work on. There is always something to do. The second that you fix one bug, you've probably created 10 more bugs, and there's always something to work on. There's always something to improve, okay? So that feeling, that weight is always going to be on you. So prioritization is a really important tool to use for any job, but specifically for just project managing anything, really. So core material is your priority. You can see that as your core material. And let's just say, too, it's like 10 o'clock and you haven't finished an exercise or two. That's when you reach out to David or me the next day, and we will help you navigate that, maybe create a catch-up plan with you guys. So 1 or 2 exercises here and there, we can deal with that. We have means to help push you through that. But definitely do the push through your priorities. So identify your priorities for the day, push through those, and then leave the rest for a time when you have to get to it. So for instance, the stretch work. It might feel like, the first couple of days you got to it, then you can't get to it. If sleep is more important than the stretch work, put the stretch work on hold. You'll have ample time, maybe when you're done the boot camp or in the future, to get back to that work that will then continue to help your learning. It's not necessarily mandatory for your learning at the time being. So core work is your priorities. Hitting deadlines as well. So important skill is bringing a project to completion and on time. That's really, really important. So those projects, you have 3 evaluated projects. All projects have deadlines, but 3 are major projects. Those ones will be extremely important to drive to completion on time as well. And just to communicate to us when you're feeling those obstacles with that. Cool. Does that help answer your question? But also getting comfortable with that uncomfortable feeling of there's always something to do. Learning how to turn your brain off and give yourself some time of day at the end of day is really important as well. And you'll just get better and better and better at that. At first, you'll probably be super eager, and some of you might want to work until 2 a.m. I don't necessarily suggest that, but hey, I don't want to ever stop eagerness either. Any other questions? That was a really good one. Victoria, any questions from you guys? Oh, absolutely. 24 hours access to the space. Yeah. Please do not sleep here like it's your apartment, but you're welcome to use the space whenever you want. I'll go into some more housekeeping logistics as well in the second half. So I'll let you guys take a 5 to 10 minute break. In Vancouver, we're going to do a quick tour before you have your break. But we'll be back in 10 minutes, Victoria. All right, so give me a second. All right, so we are going to get started. Victoria, can you hear me? Hey, Victoria, give me a thumbs up in the channel if you can hear me. Victoria. Yay, we're good, we're good. Awesome. So just on the note with Victoria as well, they are in Victoria, but you have an amazing resource called Slack, and you guys are in your cohort Slack channel. Victoria, you're welcome to join into Vancouver's cohort Slack channel, and same vice versa for you guys. You guys are industry colleagues now, okay? So it's good to make friends all around. So Victoria, you can be social in the Vancouver channel and vice versa. It also helps during lecture streaming. If you guys notice something on the Slack channel that maybe the lecturer doesn't, you can be their advocate. You can be their voice in Victoria for them, okay? Awesome. All right, so we're going to go over kind of like the typical day now. What is life like for you guys for the next 3 months? Go into some more things, and then we're going to bring CS in, the Career Services team. Kelly will do a little brief introduction for the Career Services. All right, so as I mentioned before, lecture does not start until 10 a.m. With that being said, we do expect you to try to come into the space between 9 and 9:45 at the latest, so that you are not late ever for lecture, and so that you guys can more so get in a good routine in the morning. That rushed energy is not good for learning, so take your time in the morning, come in, start a routine, grab your coffee, grab your tea, and get in a good headspace. Mental coaching in the morning is really helps as well, or maybe some meditation, whatever you choose. Lecture will go for an hour and a half to 2 hours. If you're with probably most of our lecturers, they might even go over 2 hours a little bit. That happens. No worries. Usually it's because they have good things to say. Hopefully not because they're unorganized, but it does happen that they will go over, and then they might chat with you after as well, answer any questions that you guys have. Your mentorship is all day long from 12 until 9 p.m. With that being said, there is a break between 5 and 6 p.m. For mentorship. So from 12 until 5 are your daytime mentors, and from 6 until 9 are your evening mentors. We do not have mentorship on Friday evenings, so mentorship will stop at 5 o'clock on Fridays. And I say reduced, but they're not really reduced. You might have maybe 1 or 2 mentors less in Vancouver. Victoria, the ratio will stay the same because you're only 7 students, so you'll always have 1 instructor there, 1 mentor there. And in Victoria specifically, we might be scheduling your technical interviews between that hour as well, between 5 and 6. So there might be a mentor there, but they might be specifically doing a one-on-one interview. That's Victoria specific. Weekend mentorship is limited. With that being said, I've budgeted now to have mentorship on Sunday as well for you guys in Vancouver, and prolonged Saturday mentorship in Victoria. So you have mentors here in Vancouver Saturday and Sunday, and in Victoria you have a longer shift on Saturday for your mentor there. So extra bonus weekend mentorship as well for you guys. There is weekend homework. So like I said, it's a part-time job and a full-time job all in one. The weekend stuff is more like your part-time job. A little bit lighter in difficulty, but still takes time. And who knows, you might have to play a couple of exercises catch up as well over the weekend. So keep that in mind. Any questions on the day, the life in a day of a developer at Lighthouse? It's totally up to you. The question from Jackson was between 5 or 6, is that when I should take my break? It's up to you. If you're being strategic because you want mentorship support, while you're working on things, go for it. I think it's a very good time of day to take a break. You've been, going at it since 10 o'clock in the morning, maybe earlier. Definitely you need to be compassionate on yourself. So it's a good time to eat since there's no mentors around. But let's just say you're getting into work. You can still pop out at any time during the day. That kind of like logistics is up to you to take your lunch, take your dinner whenever you'd like. Yep. The question from Puneet was, are there lectures on Saturdays? No, there are no lectures. You are not obligated to be in the space. The attendance is not tracking you on Saturday or Sundays. So you're welcome to come into the space. You have access to the space. I know a lot of people's apartments is not conducive to doing work at home, or it's very distracting at home. Some people it's opposite. Sometimes they have a really awesome office and they want to do their weekend stuff at home. That's totally on you guys. We expect you in the space from Monday to Friday and to get the weekend homework done, however that looks like for you. Yep.
I'm more of a sort of 7 or 8 till 6 kind of guy. Is that
Sure.
relative to what you've seen in the past?
In AM or PM?
Like 7, 8 a.m. till like work till 6, and then after 7, I'm pretty.
Yeah, so Anthony had a question of, he knows his kind of like workday time. He starts a little bit early. It seems like you're more of an early bird, so you want to come in and get your work done beforehand. Like I mentioned before, your core material is your priority. Should you get that core material done for the day? Absolutely. If you've been in through most of the day, go home and take that evening to yourself. Absolutely. That's going to look very different for everybody in this course, especially certain days you might even start even earlier and still not be done, right? So it's kind of up to you as an individual how you're going to shape that day. We're definitely structured in what content you have to get done and the timeline of when you have to get it done, but that specific day to day is up to you guys and is a skill in itself. Prioritizing and not leaving everything until 8 p.m. Don't leave all your questions until 8 p.m. kind of thing, and bang your head against the computer all day long. So those techniques are going to be up to you guys to discover what works best on an individual basis. But by all means, if you get done a quarter of your work between 7 and 10 in the morning, I think that's a great strategy. Any other questions? Victoria, do you have any questions about your day today? Cool. So pair programming. Who's heard this term before? Awesome. Who wants to give me their definition? John.
When you have two programmers that are working on one from one computer, pretty much.
Yep.
One's a driver,
Yep.
and the other one is one's code and the other one's on
Navigator. Yes, awesome. Really good. So John said there's essentially two people. Sometimes there's three, sometimes it's group. People attacking the same problem. So they're working, excuse me, closely to teamwork the problem at hand. So you have one driver, they're doing the coding, and one navigator who's verbally kind of dictating where that person's going with their code, acknowledging syntax errors, kind of debugging on the way, making suggestions, things like that. Okay, so pair programming is a reality even on the job. It's a technique used on the job. We're seeing it more and more in even like training programs. We're also seeing it in interviews happen, where the interviewers will kind of see your culture fit and see how you work with other developers by pairing you with somebody in the interview process and watching you guys code together. So this is a reality that's becoming more and more used. It has been used for quite a while, but we're seeing it in different avenues now. Excuse me. And we will do this in our program as well. So next week, week 2, day 1 to week 2, day 3, the third day is optional. But we will be pairing you. So we will be making those pairs for you, and they will change each day, and you'll kind of go at your day's work together as a team, experiencing what pair programming is like. So once again, this is where I kind of say, there's diverse personalities in your cohort, there's diverse people who learn differently. All those diverse thinkers are needed in the world today, so please be open and inclusive to everybody in your cohort, and learn to work with people that you might not go party with on the weekends, okay? So that's very important, and this is a skill in itself. So Slack, really important tool that's used kind of like all over the tech industry. This is our communication platform. It will also be your communication platform as an alumni. So when you graduate this program, you get offboarded as a student and onboarded as an alumni. And Slack is an amazing resource. We have thousands of grads all around the world, and this Slack hub space is where you guys can interact, use each other's as mentors. Job postings go up all the time. It's a really, really incredible resource. In the meantime, it's a resource for us as staff, to you guys, and the current students, okay? So please have it on your computer and loaded on at all times. David and I might reach out to you, or other staff members in CS might reach out to you, and that's how we communicate. We don't necessarily want to come pluck you from the floor, but if we have to, we will. But Slack is our usually our first means of contact. This is especially true for Victoria, where we'll be doing a lot of our communications on Slack. But we also do one-on-ones with in-person cam for the satellites for Victoria. So should we need to have a conversation deeper in depth, we'll set up a camera video call as well. So everybody has Slack loaded in the Slack channels. Great. I know Victoria got some things sorted out with that this morning. I hope that's all sorted. Just let us know, Victoria, if you have any. Said that they're lagging a bit. Okay, hopefully it sorts itself out. Maybe I'll talk a little bit slower. Okay, they say they lost us. Maybe refresh the link. Sorry, guys. Just give them another couple minutes. I've only got a couple more slides. Any other questions come up in the meantime while I'm helping Victoria out? Apparently they have some internet issues this morning. I think I already asked it, but we only have 2 long commutes in the crowd. Okay. Nobody over an hour? Okay, wow, group of 20. Usually I got like a quarter of them.
This might have been somewhere in the prep work, but what's the Wi-Fi password?
Yeah, it's actually right over there on the
Oh,
poster.
okay.
Over there. Yeah. No, I don't think it is in the prep work, but it's up there. Okay, they seem to be lagging. I will send them the link to the video after. Okay, Compass. So you guys have all done your prep work in Compass. Sorry. So your day-to-day learning management system, Compass, is still there. It's going to work very, very similar. Going to look different now. You've got lecture notes there. We have a lecture library as well. Okay, they're still working on fixing it. It's okay. So I don't necessarily suggest watching lecture after lecture after lecture. As I mentioned before, the better technique is to actually start training your muscle memory. So coding, coding, coding is your best friend. But should you miss a lecture or something, we do have a lecture library. All the teachers around the country, once they finish a lecture, get posted to this library. So every time you go into a lecture, you have all that access there. We also have a very not hard stop rule of 15 minutes. So 15 minutes on two things. Attempt the problem first for about 10, 15 minutes. Give yourself that chance to see if you can actually problem solve. A lot of the times, especially in the first half of the course. Okay, they're back. Yay. Yay, Victoria's back. Okay, so just more on Compass. We have, just going to restart the sentence for Victoria. We have a 15-minute rule. So when you are first run into an obstacle, okay, like what the heck is going on here? Try for 10 to 15 minutes. You know, do some research on Google. Whatever question that pops up into your head, type that out. Like actually type it out in Google. That exact question that's popped up in your head. See what comes up. You might get a little bit more than you thought from that search query. Also, you might know a little bit more already, and you might just need some things to prompt some certain recollection, right? So 15 minutes before you ask a question, or 10. 10 is good. Don't go too far. And if you really do know, like, no, I really do need help for this right away, you can identify that. Don't hesitate. Just hit that button. It'll save you guys time. And then also 15 minutes in the interaction as well. So sometimes they take longer, sometimes they take shorter, but if it's going for too long, past 15 minutes, then something's not quite there. The mentor might not be triggering that problem solving for you in a good way, or maybe you know, digesting that information is taking a little bit longer. If it does go over, don't feel guilty, no worries about that. But if you do feel like you need a longer interaction, reach out to David and I, and we'll be happy to set something up on more of a one-on-one kind of basis. Same for you guys in Victoria. Just so that the mentors can be present for everybody in the space. We don't want them taking an hour of their time on one person. Sometimes it's needed, but most of the time you should be able to get off and running after 15 minutes. Okay? Very, very loose rule though. Don't focus on how much time it actually takes. It's just a little bit of a guideline. So you don't always need to hit the request assist button or ask for help when you don't know something, okay? Maybe you finished an exercise and you want a code review. Absolutely, hit that button, get a code review from the mentor. Maybe you just want industry advice. You want to say, hey, is this actually the best way to solve this? What do you guys do on your job? You just want that kind of advice. Go for it. Hit that button and get some advice from the mentor. You don't have to do something wrong to access the mentors. They're there for everything outside of questions that went wrong as well. All right, so we are an inclusive and safe environment. In both locations, Victoria and Vancouver, we are a co-working space as well as a boot camp. So here we actually own the co-working space, DevHub, where in Victoria we rent from the Summit. But in both locations, we are working with other professionals and other companies. So it's really, really important that you treat yourselves at all times as a professional in a professional workspace. So that means little things like keeping your space tidy, cleaning up after yourself in the kitchen. That means that there's awesome networking opportunities in the kitchen and in these places where you interact with the other companies to network and potentially talk about future job opportunities or just what the industry is like. Who knows who they're going to be in the long run when you are on the job search or when you've worked a couple of years and now you're trying to search for that perfect dream job, right? These people who you're interacting now will be very, very useful in the future. So it's a really warm and friendly environment here in Victoria. So I hope that you guys can add to that and not take away from it. Also, one more note, everybody read the Code of Conduct, Student Code of Conduct. I'd go home and just glimpse over it one more time just so that you're familiar with it. Should you or something that you witness feel something that's not right, a little bit uncomfortable, or maybe you witnessed something, an offense of some sort, or you were offended, These things happen. It's not easy to navigate this sometimes. So please reach out to us. We're not claiming to be professionals in this realm by any means, but we have tools and tactics to navigate it with you to come to the best solution and create a space that's warm and inviting for everybody, okay? So once again, everybody is diverse in their thinking. We need diverse thinkers in the workforce moving forward. So make space. Make space for those diverse thinkers, okay? And chances are you are also a diverse thinker, so it's really important to give others the time of day so you get the time of day as well. All right, any questions at all, Victoria or Vancouver, with what you're about to get into? I know that was a bit full on, but I promise these tools will start popping up throughout the course when you need them the most. Victoria, how you doing? Any questions over there? No? All right. Here is a small portion of our team, the education. So you've got me, Nima, who's a full-time teacher in the classroom right now. David is the intern. Travis was the other full-time instructor that you met. Remy, our GM. KV is our co-founder. We are all here for you guys. You can ping us on our Slack channels. I'm going to send you guys these slides after this, so you'll have a copy of them. Actually, David will be sending them out. And yeah, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm going to be kind of asking you guys for a lot of feedback throughout the course as well. We love your honest, candid opinions, so don't shy back. We want to hear it exactly how you guys are experiencing it. Cool? I wish you the most of fun through this course because you guys do not need luck at all. It's all about the mindset. Put in the hard work, and whatever you guys put in, I guarantee you will get back, okay? So good luck with everything. I'll get Kelly to come up here, and don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything. Awesome. Happy day one, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Ooh, round of applause. Yay, love it. Also,
Hello, Victoria. Can you hear me? Testing the microphone. Can you hear me? Vancouver. I figured that wouldn't be an issue. Good?
yeah, very good.
Woo woo! Welcome to Lighthouse Labs. I'm here to talk to you really shortly about career services and who we are. So I'm Kelly Gordon. I'm K Fox. You can call me. That's my DJ name. I've got a fox tattoo to match. Leanne is not here yet, but she will be. She's our manager of employer relations and partnerships. So you'll be working a lot with her towards the end and post-grad. She's the one that sends your resumes out to employers. I am the career services advisor. I'll be with you guys from week 5 on, getting you ready for that job search, giving you the tools that you need, which we'll talk about on the next slide. A little bit about my background. I have a master's in career counseling. I got it from Florida State. Go Noles, though they're terrible this season, so don't watch football, college football. Not really a thing in Vancouver anyway. But they are the creators of the cognitive information processing theory in career, which is something that I feel quite passionate about. So you'll see me get excited because I'm a big nerd about career stuff, which is why I'm here to help all of you. And then Charlene, you met earlier. She's our director of career. Oh, she's back there waving at you. She's around if you need her, but Leanne and I will be primarily the ones working directly with you. So what do we do at Lighthouse Labs Career Services? Well, you came here to gain technical skills to go out and become web developers. So what we're doing is trying to give you the tools that you need. We actually created tools that match like career pieces back at FSU. So like your networking tool is like a fishing rod, so you can reel in those employers and make them love you. Job searching is like a magnifying glass. But post week 5 and on, you'll be gaining and developing those tools for yourself so that you're best fit to enter the world of work. Yeah. So what can you expect from us? We're like an extension of the education team. So we're educating you in how to get a job in the tech world. Post week 5, we'll be having lectures like once a week, building things like your resume, talking about how to tackle those really difficult interviewing questions like, tell me about a time when you failed. And also teaching you how to job search and getting you ready again for graduation and employer demo day to get that first job. Also, you all signed a job seekers agreement. We will be going over again what you signed up for when you signed that document. Here's a timeline of what we'll be going through. So our week 5 is when I come back and I'm like, hey, remember me? You've been coding for hours and hours and hours, so you may not. And I won't take personal offense to that. But we'll talk a little bit more in depth than today about what exactly career services is at Lighthouse Labs and how it serves you if you are an active job seeker. Week 7 is my favorite resume workshop. I love building resumes. It's like the hardest document ever in your life to build. So I like helping people get through that without crying in the corner like I did when I had to build my first resume post grad school. And then there'll be office hours week 7 if there's something specific and individual to your job search that you want me to know, or if you have questions that you need to ask me and to talk about that beautiful living document called your resume. And then the next week you'll peer review. And during that time, we'll really polish the draft of your resume that you made. And then we'll have an interview workshop where we do the fun things like discuss how you go about telling an employer what your biggest weakness is. Because I love that question, right? What's your biggest weakness? Oh, well, I spend too much time at work. The employer's like, I don't think so, Tim. Home Improvement reference for those of you who weren't old enough to watch that show back in the day. And then a job hunt workshop, and then we'll prepare for employer demo day, which is really fun. I just went through my first one because I'm relatively new to Lighthouse Labs, but not new to career, and that was super fun. And then our post-grad employer event, which is speed interviewing, and we'll talk more about that later too. That's a quick overview of our timeline, and now we're going to play a fun game. Have any of you guys used Kahoot before? No? It's on your phone. So you can grab your phones. It's like the one time in school where your teacher's like, take your phones out. Let's play with them. But it's basically like a quiz, but you're answering on your phone. And I get to see who says what. We're going to see how much you guys know about career before we actually tell you about career. So if you go to kahoot.it, it'll ask you for a PIN. And that is the PIN number for the fun Kahoot quiz that we're about to do.
If you read the job seeker agreement, you already have all the answers for the quiz coming up.
Ooh.
If you signed it without reading it, you might want to revisit it sooner rather than later.
Ooh. I'm going to tattle on everyone who didn't read it. Just kidding. Oop, skipping ahead. Okay. Is anybody having trouble getting in? I see you're popping up there. Anybody still, let's see. Ready? I should play too, but I'm not. That wouldn't be fair, right? Would it? No, I don't think so. Is anybody else still waiting? Are you guys ready? So it's going to pop up with the question. Read the question carefully because sometimes it's going to ask which is true and sometimes it's which is not true. So be careful with that. There's only 3. Ready? Ready? Set? Go. Question number 1. Which best describes how career services works with you? Do we make it rain job offers? Do we work together to help you secure your first dev job? Or do we provide the education and tools and then you job hunt all on your own? Man, you guys are quick. $22 correct answers. That's pretty awesome. No one said we make it rain job offers. I'm a little sad, but I'm happy that you know that that's not what we do. We do provide you with education and tools, but you don't solo job hunt. We're here to support you even post-grad. So the correct answer is that we work together to help you secure that first dev job. We are not like universities tend to do, like, here's your diploma, bye, and never talk to you again. Good job. Stark. Okay, Tony. Question 2. What is true if you are a job seeker? Which is that agreement that Charlene mentioned. All right. Do we guarantee you a job within 120 days? Is it normal to take 3 to 4 months to get your first dev job? Or do half of you secure a job that you applied to directly post-grad? Which is true? Do, 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 do. That tune gives me anxiety. All right. Every single one of you got that correctly. Yes, it's normal for it to take 3 to 4 months. I have 5 years of experience in career, and it still took me 4 months to get a job. It's just the way the world of work works. It's not a reflection on you personally. It's just how it goes. You got to be right place, right time, and we're going to give you extra tools like networking tips that help you bypass some of those gates that are in place in the world of work. But great job. You guys are awesome. Stark. I'm gonna find out who you are, Tony. Question number 3, which is not true about how we help ease the gap from classroom to your first dev job? This is which is not true. Not true. Do we get you interviews with employers? Do we send resumes out to employers that get in touch? Do we let employers know graduates can start in internship capacity? Which of those do we not do? Okay, so a lot of people were a little bit apprehensive about answering that one because I only got 11 actual answers. But what do we not do? The correct answer, yes, that 5 of you got was we do not get you interviews with employers. You get yourselves interviews with employers, and we send out your resume. But at the end of the day, if they choose to interview you, that's their choice, and you did it yourselves. So that's what we do. Send your resumes out, and we do let employers know that you can start in internship capacity. And we will talk more about what that looks like and what that's all about in week 5. But if you get an interview with an employer, you got it. We didn't get it for you. Cool? Questions on that? Because that was it. Jake? Is Jake here or in Victoria? Jake? Jake? Jake wins. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. If I had a candy bar, I would give it to you. But I don't. Jake is your resident job seeker agreement expert. So any and all career questions you can direct to Jake. No, I'm kidding. Please direct them to me through Slack. Let me get out of this. That was fun though, right? I love Cahoots. Okay, well, I lost the slide, but that's okay. We were at the end anyways. I just wanted to open it up if you guys have any questions for me. You might not this early in the game, but I am here. If you have a burning question you need to ask me before week 5, please Slack me or email me. I'm here for you. That is my sole purpose of life while I'm at Lighthouse Labs, is for you as a career advisor. And of course, Leanne and Charlene are here for you also. So if you have any super important burning employer interview questions, you can ask them before week 5. But I will see you all again in week 5, and I will be asking you more, and you should all be at Jake's level of knowledge on that employer seeker agreement. Okay? Rad, welcome to Lighthouse. It was nice to meet all of you. And you too, Victoria, even though I can't see you. I was about to walk away with this mic, but I'm not going to. All right, have a wonderful Monday.